I wanted to begin with something I was struck by in the introduction. Sort of description of the film is it's like a crime film where instead of people shooting at each other, they write letters to each other, and of course for me this is like an extremely compelling idea for a film. So I'm wondering during the writing process how the two of you sort of how you conceptualized the letter writing between the two main characters, because it occurs to me the film like evades a lot of the cliches that sort of go into when you see this depicted, and it's not so simple as it's just like dangerous liaisons, but with gangsters, right? It's something quite different. So could you tell me how you kind of approach this?
Yes, we had these letters because even before he was arrested, because as I said at the beginning, he was arrested January 2023, after 30 years, and he died in prison a few months later, leaving a very bitter feeling. Also about the arrest, because that was not really a victory of the Italian state. And now we know really a lot about him, but for 30 years he was like a ghost. There were only few photographs when he was young, and all we had was results from the many trials. Yes, and these letters, whose authenticity was not confirmed. Now it's confirmed. So for us was a bet. In the letters, what was striking, this letter was really striking our attention because, first of all, they were revealing the ridiculous world around him. First of all, his family, and this politician writing to him, and also his personality, which was peculiar. It's not the typical mafia guy you would imagine from Sicily, because usually they haven't read one book. Maybe they have the Bible at home, but they haven't not read it. And this guy was quoting philosophers, was quoting French writer, was quoting Daniel Pennac, the French writer, and the Bible, and it was showing off a lot in these letters. So we understood, our guess was that we were in front of a narcissistic personality, pathological narcissist, but also a very intelligent guy. And this idea of the letters was basically all the film was constructed by this idea of the letter and this exchange. It's a real story. Everything you have seen is really happened because the story of the secret services using them and maybe not arriving to the arrest. He was always, in these 30 years, they were always about to arrest him, but never really doing it, because there was always something saving him at the very last minute. So from the letter we found his personality, which was confirmed later then, because now we have dozens of, hundreds of letters. He was even writing a diary. And now we know that because in his last hideout they found hundreds of books, even poetry on his bed table, and a collection of 212 DVDs, including obviously Coppola, Joker, of which he had the poster on the fridge, and films like Antonioni, big film, and the entire first season of Sex and the City. So now we know a lot of personality, but we know that we were not wrong. So it was a process of guess from the letters, and also collaborating with the two actors because they were involved in the script development process.
Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, I should say Sex and the City and Antonioni, so he's a man of culture, clearly. But yeah, no, I wanted to ask about your work with Germano and Servillo, in especially Germano, given what you're saying, in figuring out the characterization. But maybe first we could just talk about the casting of the two of them. You know, what sort of drew you to them two.
When we had this idea, we told this idea to our producer, and immediately the name of the two came to us. For us was clear they were the perfect actors for these two kind of roles. So we involved them from the beginning. They read just a few pages, just a small treatment. And then they say, okay, we like a lot the idea, but then we want to see the script. So we went for the script. And from the first draft, they start working with us on their characters, and they have a different approach on their job, because also depends a lot on the kind of character we have. Because for Toni Servillo, that is the king of the mask, we can say. This is the typical Italian mask of also the great comedies of the 60s. This guy and guys like Alberto Sordi, Gassman. Now, this kind of typical Italian figure of these smart, funny guys, but completely moral. So with Toni, we work a lot on this kind of mask. Of course, with Elio was completely different job, because the way he works, he wants to really embody the characters. He needs to know a lot about the real person. So we study a lot all the documents we had, and and then when they arrested him for the first time, we could see him. We could listen to his voice, and it's a peculiar dialect from the west part of Sicily. So he had to work a lot on how to move his mouth, so it's different. It was a long process in order to embody this character. And then Elio vanished because he decided to move in the real places and start dealing with real people of that village. We were a little bit scary, but nobody knew him, so he has his own way to stay there without. And after a couple of months, we met him again, and it was a shock, because we really met this guy, Matteo Messina Denaro, and it was quite difficult to talk with him, trying to say, okay, Elio, but stop, you are Elio, now we, okay. But he was not unable, so we say, okay, continue to do that like this. And then the problem arrived on set, because Toni, he knows everything, and he is able to repeat everything in the same way. Perfect, it's a machine. And helping a lot all the actors working with him inside the scene. The impact with Elio was our first time with him, was a little bit more difficult, because we say, okay, action. And all of a sudden, he started to say other things, doing other things. So we, and also the actor, we didn't say, what is going on here? So we, okay, stop. So, Elio, what are we doing here? You know, there is a script, okay, you can go as you want, but still, we have to try to save the meaning, at least, of what is inside the script. And then we find our way to work with him, and this way of working, every shot is different. every take, but this forced all the people around him, from the director to the actors, to stay focused all the time, because you can never say what will happen there. So you have to follow him, but he gave us a lot of beautiful things there.
So now you guys are fans of method acting, right? I'll ask one more thing, and we'll open it up to the audience. You know, from Salvo to this, you know, it occurs to me that sort of all the films are kinds of deconstructions of the sort of the mafia film, I guess. And so I guess I'm curious what draws you to like genre as sort of a canvas to paint on, because yeah, you guys have a very, very singular, but also it's very singular approach, but it's also very different from film to film. So so maybe could you tell us a bit about what sort of what draws you or excites you about working within the genre?
Yes, I think we start from our own experience of living there. That's really crucial. And because we were kids and very young when a lot of terrible things were happening in Sicily. And some of these things had an impact also on our personal life. And it was a really difficult time. I'm talking about the 80s and the 90s. And so when we started with our first film, Salvo, and we understood, because we were writers before, just writers, and we understood that we needed to direct it in order to make it our own. The first question was not about how to play with the mafia genre, but how to give a feeling of a real feeling of a world we knew, and basically, especially in our first and second film, because the first is a noir film where there is a meeting between a killer and a blind girl. And the second is inspired by a terrible story of the kidnap of a kid, but is told through the perspective of a classmate, a girl who is in love with him. So in this first film, although one is a noir and the second is a sort of dark fairy tale, there is a meeting at the center, an encounter between two human beings, and we strongly believe that that's the only possibility of change. And in this one is like we are portraying a world where there are basically just moral ruins. And so in the world of Sicilian Letters, an encounter like happening in the other two films is impossible. There is no love possible. And it's a film where we understood to give a real feeling of this kind of people, there was no catharsis possible. So it's very difficult to identify with anyone in the film, because even the policewoman is a contradictory character, who is the only honest, and there is the guy, Toni Servillo's son-in-law in the film, is pure, but it's difficult to identify with him. And that was, in a way, had an influence on playing with mafia genre, because we knew that we didn't want we didn't want an epic tragedy, as I said, and all the killings are somehow given in the past. There was we didn't want to show the violence, because it's already so obvious.
It's kind of anti-spectacular in a way, yeah.
So that was our kind of thinking. Obviously, we had in mind many wonderful mafia movies, and also our strong Italian tradition of films about mafia, which have a strong political and social meaning, which later was less strong in the movies, because with all the TV fiction made about the subject matter, it was now the stereotypes were too strong. So we wanted to play with the stereotype at the same time while destroying them.
All right, so let's take some audience questions. We'll just raise a hand and we'll bring you a microphone. We'll start right here.
Hi, thank you. So I had a question. I mean, you kind of just mentioned it before about the contradictory, like, female character, because I think it's interesting that we also end a bit in this, like, I guess I'm kind of wondering how you guys felt about the female voice within the film, because I felt like a lot of times we didn't, like, go back to necessarily, like, you know, the daughter, you know, who lost her husband. Well, yeah, the janitor, the son-in-law. So yeah, I'm just curious about where you guys felt like those voices fit in or didn't fit in.
So, in our two first films, we have a female character that, in a way, have to fight with a rotten world dominated by men. They are, our main character in Salvo, and also the little girl in Sicilian Ghost Story, they are not sharing the value of the men inside that world. They are able to fight back. They are able not to lose their dignity. And in this world, that is in a post-apocalyptic world, unfortunately, women are not different from men. At the end of the film, in a way, there are a couple of women that it seems they are winning. And is the wife of Catello Palumbo, that in just one shot, she get rid of this husband and this stupid boy. And he closed the window and she can come back, and maybe she can save her daughter and the grandnephew. And then there is this mysterious woman giving him hospitality. And it's a strange woman, because when you enter in that kind of situation, of course, our eyes, our attention is on this strange beast inside the cage, Matteo. But then little by little, you start question, what kind of woman is this? Because you understand that this is also another dangerous animal. And at the end is a woman able to sit in front of the colonel of the secret services. And this is the woman putting the last piece of the puzzle, meaning that also this mafia boss, it was not the king of that world. It was just a piece of a bigger puzzle. And women are inside that puzzle too. So there's really no hope possible. You're welcome.
Anyway, it's a world where even the character of the father of Matteo Messina is inspired by a real character. The father was like this, and he was a very powerful godfather boss in Sicily, and basically the world we watch in the film is a world created by this kind of man. So it's a poisoned world where there is a strong, rotten, hierarchical patriarchy.
And Matteo's sister suffer a lot because of this, because she could be the queen of this world, but unfortunately she's a woman, so she can't be the queen. And she suffers a lot. She's full of rage and resentment for this.
Thank you. Great movie. Two questions. One is why Matteo and Palumbo's wife wear glasses? Only those two characters. And then what happened to the son?
It's a film. Actually, it's a film full of glasses, and which it was a nightmare for our director of photography, because you have to always take care if there is any reflection. Matteo is always wearing glasses, but not only. Catello's wife is wearing glasses, and the colonel is wearing glasses, because, well, from our very beginning, even from our very first short film, which was about, it was called Rita. It was about a young blind girl, 10 years old, from Palermo. We are thinking about blindness, moral blindness, being able to see, hiding behind glasses. For Matteo, it was, well, the real guy was obsessed with Ray-Ban glasses. It was, if you Google Matteo Messina Denaro, you will find the photo of the moment when he's arrested, when he's wearing the thing we put at the end, when he's in the sort of museum, that oniric scene at the end. But basically, you find the photos of him. He's a young guy, always with glasses. And in his last hideout, they found, I don't know, hundreds of Ray-Ban glasses. It was a fetishism with the Ray-Ban glasses. And there is a difference between the real story and the movie. In reality, he has a daughter, not a son. And the daughter was not recognized, only at the very end. When he was in jail, at the very moment, they met, and the daughter accepted to have his surname, which is a very strange choice, because you imagine in Italy, everyone knows who Matteo Messina Denaro is. Even children knows that Matteo Messina Denaro is connected to evil. So if you have another surname, but then you accept the surname of your father at the very end, well, you must have your reason.
My question is quite personal, because you put yourself doing movie like this as a moral judgment against mafia. But in the same way, you had to study a lot for this last movie. Let's talk about this. And so how many people did you interview who were part of this world in order to arrive to the completion of your story? So you talk about moral judgment, but then you talk about all the people of this movie has somehow been into this world. You can't escape it if you are in Sicily, let's say, because you live in this poisoned world. Not all the people. I'm Italian, so I know adesso I'm trying to cut rough the things. But for you personally, how much you feel compromised? Did you talk to real people of mafia? Question mark.
No. In our approach to this kind of people and stories, there is no moral judgment. Our main interest is more an anthropological interest, and especially for this last film connected with the trilogy, because we experience life during the age of great power of mafia that really shaped our society for more than 40 years, and we grew up there. It's like there was an atomic bomb explosion, and this film is our way to tell our personal Chernobyl after the explosion. And so there was no fear to study the material quite seriously, of course, mainly through documents and through these letters that sometimes police was able to catch. And of course, we have also sources in that territory. And it's important because when you want to portray an accurate way on anthropological level a piece of world, you have to have inner sources living and dealing in that world. And it's important because you have to be honest 100%, not to fake the material and the characters you have to work with.
Did you ever feel in danger?
No, never, never. Actually, when he was arrested, we were in location scouting in that area, Sicily. And according to our studies and news, we thought it could be in the place where they found out the last hideout. And knowing the character, if he would have been there during the shooting, for sure, it would be around the set, because the vanity of this man was really strong. And it seems a story of a small piece of land forgotten by God called Sicily. But then when you see what the story is about, the story is about power and money, power connecting with money and making money in any way possible for you and your friends. And this power is run by a pathological narcissist. Then you understand that the story is a little bit bigger than the one you are telling.
We have to leave it there for tonight. But thank
you.
you both for another great film. Thank all of you.